Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Got an interesting email last night. I've mentioned before that I've run races, foot races, marathons, and so on. I've run the Detroit Free Press Marathon a whole bunch of times, and I run other shorter races from time to time, like the Crim 10-miler in Flint. I've run a few times recently, and I had entered to run the Bay Shore Half Marathon in Traverse City over Memorial Day weekend. So I paid $110, I believe, about a month or so ago. And I've been mentioning to people I was planning on running that race. And of course, now with recent events in the news, a lot of stuff's getting canceled. And the question is, how far out do they need to cancel stuff? So Michigan last night put the state on lockdown and gave us a list of things that they don't want us to do for a time period. And, so everyone basically is going to just, shelter in place, stay at home, go out only when you need to, and so on. And, a couple of weeks, we'll see what happens. But the thing is that the Bayshore Half Marathon and Marathon was going to be on Memorial Day weekend. So that, right now we're still in March, right? That's all of April and then most of May, I would assume, before Memorial Day weekend. And so I was curious, and I remember getting an email from the race organizers saying that we are keeping an eye on this because obviously there's planning we got to do in advance. But if these kinds of orders are still in place, you can't have a race. And I understand that. But I got the email last night that says, Bayshore cancels. You have options. Please read. After vigilantly monitoring options for the 2020 race in the midst of recent events in the news, we feel that we must cancel the 2020 TCTC Bayshore events. We are deeply saddened and know that you have been working hard to prepare for the races, but we are obligated to help flatten the curve. No problem there. TCTC Bayshore was started in 1983 by a group of volunteers who wanted to share with fellow runners the beauty of the Grand Traverse region, and it is beautiful. Since then, Bayshore has evolved into a respected and beloved event that has played an integral role in helping build a healthy, active running community through charitable giving. Bayshore is the primary revenue generator that funds all events, activities, and programs of the Traverse City Track Club, TCTC, which has now donated over $2 million to date in support of mission-related higher learning scholarships, community grants, and planned giving. Again, I respect you. As a small, charitable, nonprofit organization, we are hopeful we will be able to withstand the impact of this unprecedented situation. Most of the expenses for the 2020 event have been paid leading up to the event, and we are committed to preserve our charitable giving for some odd reason. Our appeal to you is to continue to support our race in the best way possible for all concerned. Here are your options. 1, you can defer your entry from this year to next year. So you want to, you can just say, hey, look, I understand we're not doing this year. Take my entry fee and I'll be entered for next year. 2, you can donate your entry. We will mail you a receipt noting your tax-deductible donation to the Traverse City Track Club and know that you're helping to keep Traverse City Track Club Bayshore going into next year and beyond. 3, request a partial refund. 50% will be held to preserve our long-term survival and cover expenses already committed, even though our waiver states no refunds. We'll get to that in a second. So it says then, if you are able to do so, please help us in the long-term survival of our club. The revenues generated from the Bayshore races allow the Traverse City Track Club to give back to the local Grand Traverse community in ways such as supporting trails, supporting local schools, and so on. All profits are redistributed back into the local community we love. We understand these are hard times for everyone financially, but know you are helping the Traverse City Track Club in these unfortunate times by deferring or donating your entry, and it may be the key to ensuring TCTC Bayshore will be here for many years to come. And then it says you can, of course, like I said, get a partial refund. A partial refund. Now, here's the interesting part. They then click a link that you can go to that explains to you their theory that no refunds are to be given, so them giving you back half your money is a deal. Here is what the waiver says that you click on when you entered and paid your $110 to enter. The TCTC Bayshore has a no refund policy. Deferments will not be allowed. However, transfers will be allowed until April 28th, no exceptions. It is up to the discretion of the race director if, for safety reasons, the race must be delayed, postponed, or canceled. If the race is canceled because of threatening conditions, refunds will not be issued. Now, I think that you can look at that and say, Steve, it says no refunds. Well, it says if the race is canceled because of threatening conditions. And the question is, what are threatening conditions? If you went back to the day this was written and the day that anybody read it months ago, threatening conditions, nobody would have said, oh, by the way, if there is a spate of recent events in the news here that are causing things to happen, that 2 months in advance we can cancel the race and say that these recent events in the news threatened the race here. No one would have thought that. What people are assuming they mean is like thunderstorms, tornadoes, locusts, frogs falling from the sky, biblical things. Okay? So I understand people are going to say, Steve, if you took it to court, you don't know you'd win that. I don't know if I would. I don't know. That's a tough one. But again, I'm getting back more to what do people think they're signing when they click a release. Okay? Because I remember reading this and clicked it, and I had to say, yes, I read it and I clicked it. And again, I believe it was the Crim year before last. I could be wrong on the year, where a thunderstorm rolled through and we were literally on the start line doing the countdown. And the race director jumped on the PA and said, we've just had reports of lightning strikes not far from here. Everyone off the course. And whoosh, you see thousands of people disappearing into, parking structures. And there's a little mall there. And but it was crazy. And they actually said, we're going to wait. And they needed a certain period of time to pass. And if they had the time period pass, they'd start the race. But if they didn't start it, then they were going to have to cancel it. Nobody expects to get their money back then. Obviously not. No one expects to get their money back. But one of the things I'll tell you that kind of bothers me about this whole process here is that I'm not sure I agree with the idea that them canceling now in March an event that's going to happen at the end of May and saying that this is a safety reason. I'm not sure I agree with that. But elsewhere in here, it says quite clearly that they actually are not just going to use this money to pay their costs. They still want to give some money to charity. So in other words, the people whose race fees are not being refunded, well, they'll cover their costs, and then they're going to give the rest to charity. Why is the charity more important than the person getting their money back who put the money up in the first place? And I can tell you right now that if you like running races, 10Ks, 5Ks, half marathons, full marathons, ultras, whatever you run, there are plenty of them out there for you to run. I've run a race almost identical to this one in Charlevoix, which is right around the corner from Traverse City. And similar scenery, running along the same lake. Beautiful, beautiful race. And I've run races I've enjoyed, and I'll often go back and rerun them. I've run the Free Press Marathon now a bunch of times. And I like that race. I've also run other races where I had bad experiences, and I never went back. Never went back. And I'm not going to say the race. I'm not sure the race still exists, but there was a race in a small town in Michigan, about 15 miles away from where I live. And 10K, short race. And the starting gun goes off at the start line, and you get the first water station, and there were tables and empty Dixie cups and jugs of water. And there was a volunteer standing there going, you're all set. You want some water? There you go. And somebody hadn't gotten the memo that when runners come by, they're running, and they would reach over and grab a cup of water. I saw people grabbing empty cups of water and just throwing them because it's like, we're not going to stop there and pour our own water. And I know you're saying, Steve, are you some kind of prima donna? You want other people to pour your water for you? That's how it's done in races, okay? Watch a marathon on TV. You will not see anybody stop beside the road and start pouring their own water. That's part of the deal when you spend $110 to enter a race, is that there's going to be water stations along the way. I can go run 13 miles this afternoon if I want to. The point is I'm running an organized race for a couple of reasons, one of which is the course is blocked off for me, which is nice, no traffic. There's water stations. That's nice also. And when you're done, you get a medal usually for running. And a lot of times they'll give you a shirt for running also. Maybe even a bumper sticker. Who knows? But the point is that you get something for it. So the bigger question I have for you is there any chance someone like me is going to come back and run this race again? No, I won't run this race again. They just ripped me off for $55. And here's where it gets even better. So it says if you want to be the Grinch here and ask for half of your money back. We'll give you half your money back. They tell you to go to the site that you signed up at, which is not their site. They do this through a vendor. And you go to that site and you have to enter some information, and up pops your registration. And it then says, what would you like to do? And one of the things it says you can do is request a refund. You click the button and nothing happens. Click it again, nothing happens. Did something happen? Did nothing happen? So I don't know. I did go to the site last night. I clicked request a refund a couple times. Nothing happened. So this is either a $110 experiment or a $55 experiment. But, I understand they're in a difficult position. I understand that. But I think that they need to try a little harder when they write these letters, because it starts out well. But they actually say that they want to continue giving out charity because that's what they do. So they would like you to give them your money so they can give it to charity. Well, I hope they understand that many people right now are in need of charity at home. And perhaps they could use that $110 that you took from them for the race that you decided to cancel 2 months out. But I guess if you think that you found a more worthy cause than the person who gave you the money, who am I to argue with that? So, there's going to be a lot of stuff like this happening in the near future. I've heard a lot of people talking about Airbnbs, for instance, where they signed up to, or maybe not even Airbnb, but just simply rentals. Okay, just take rentals in general. They signed up to rent a house someplace. And because of what's going on, you can't fly, right? Not safely. So they decide not to fly. The place goes, we're not going to give you your money back. Well, re-rent it. Well, we can't re-rent it. Nobody wants it now. Go back and read the terms of the service and see what they say. And again, I know what you're saying. You're going to say, Steve, go back and read your own terms of service. And I did. It is up to discretion. If for safety reasons, the race must be delayed, postponed, or canceled. And they've canceled it for safety reasons in March, when the race is at the end of May. So, hey, if nothing else, it's food for thought. Got a lot of time to sit around and think these days, my friends. Questions or comments, put them below. Otherwise, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Doing what you love is the cornerstone of having abundance in your life.